Top 10 Poorest Countries on Planet Earth. Today we bring you a journey through the reality of those places that fight against adversity with courage and resilience. In this fascinating list, we'll explore the 10 countries that face unique economic and social challenges, but despite their difficulties, prove that hope and determination can shine through even the darkest of times. Let's get started. Number 10. Eritrea. Located in the Horn of Africa, it has a gross domestic product per capita of around $700. It has been classified among the countries with the least access to water in the world, which has a negative impact on the health and well-being of the population. Access to education is limited, especially for girls. With a low enrollment rate of less than 40%, difficulties in accessing education are even more pronounced in rural areas, where children must take long walks in the scorching heat to receive classes. Number 9. Mozambique. Located in the southeast of Africa, it presents a gross domestic product per capita, estimated at around $579. Access to basic services is limited. Approximately 50% of the population lacks drinking water or adequate sanitation. The education system faces a number of obstacles, including the low literacy rate. Although primary school is compulsory compared to secondary school, the irregularity of teachers in classes is also a challenge. In addition, many 14-year-olds are forced to work instead of going to school, making it difficult to further education. Number 8. Niger. Located in West Africa, it registers an economic income of around $574 in its gross domestic product per capita. The availability of essential services such as clean water supply faces challenges, and the quality of healthcare is slightly below the global average compared to the global level. Education is free and compulsory for 8 years, yet only 25% of children attend primary school. Poverty, food insecurity and inequality between women and men are some of the major problems facing the population. Number 7. South Sudan. Located in East Africa, it exhibits a gross domestic product per capita of $570. It faces persistent challenges in fundamental services, such as the supply of drinking water. Its health system and infrastructure are among the least developed in the world, with more than 50% of the country's healthcare centers inoperative. In addition, more than half of the children of primary and secondary school age do not attend classes. The adult literacy rate is approximately 32%, while in the case of women it drops to 25%. Number 6. Somalia. Located in the Horn of Africa where security is a major problem due to crime, terrorism, civil unrest, health problems, kidnapping and piracy. These factors have contributed to creating an unstable and dangerous environment for residents and travelers. Somalia's gross domestic product is $562. The country's economy has been impacted by decades of conflict, which has hindered its economic development and the improvement of the living conditions of its population. Currency devaluation has been accompanied by hyperinflation and an increase in the price of food. Energy is unaffordable and limits the provision of services such as education, health and sanitation. In addition, environmental degradation reduces the availability of water, grazing and biodiversity, and consequently negatively affects people's livelihoods. Educational opportunities for children residing in rural areas are remarkably limited, since most schools are located in urban areas. Number 5. Madagascar. This island located in the Indian Ocean, southeast of Africa, has an estimated gross domestic product per capita of around $540. Less than 60% of the population has access to water and less than 15% has basic sanitation. The country has the 4th highest rate of chronic malnutrition, affecting half of children under 5 years of age. Lack of medical personnel and supplies, coupled with difficulties in accessing medical care, are seriously hampering access to essential health services. The educational system faces the lack of access to quality education in some regions and the low literacy rate. The scarcity of resources and the lack of adequate training for teachers have influenced the quality of the education system. Number 4. Central African Republic. Located in the heart of Central Africa, its per capita income measured by the gross domestic product is $516, and more than 67% of its inhabitants experience conditions of extreme poverty. Socioeconomic parameters, such as life expectancy, which is usually around 55 years, and the literacy rate, are among the lowest compared to the global panorama. They do not have access to essential services such as housing, adequate food, drinking water, sanitation, medical care and protection. In addition, more than 50% of the nation's population requires humanitarian assistance. Education is compulsory but access is unequal, especially for indigenous girls and boys. The conflict has closed schools and the lack of government support affects enrollment. Attendance rates are low, with access even more limited in troubled areas, where attacks on schools continue. The country is characterized by continuous and deep structural deficiencies, the consequences of which have spread for years due to the political and military crisis. Number 3. Malawi. It is one of the smallest and most densely populated countries in southeastern Africa, landlocked. Its gross domestic product per capita is low, estimated at around $483. Much of the population lives in conditions of poverty. The unemployment rate is high and most jobs are in the subsistence agricultural sector. In addition, it has also faced health-related challenges, such as the high prevalence of diseases such as AIDS and malaria. This has led to a life expectancy of less than 50 years due to these factors. Access to basic services such as drinking water, sanitation and electricity is limited in most areas. The education system is under-resourced, with a shortage of trained teachers and a lack of access to education in rural areas. The country still faces relatively high illiteracy rates in adults over 15 years of age. Number 2. Sierra Leone. Located in West Africa, unemployment affects a significant part of the population, while illiteracy affects 40% of adults, underscoring the urgent need for investment in education. Poverty is a distressing reality that affects 75% of the population, and more than 25% face daily food insecurity. This fight for a basic diet reflects the barriers that the population faces. The average life of around 54 years reflects the difficulties in health and access to medical services that the population faces. Number 1. Burundi. Its largely rural society seeks to find its place in a modern age, where only 13.4% of its population resides in urban areas. In 2023, the country is still a densely populated land. Burundi's abundant ethnic diversity is mired in deep conflict. Unfortunately, it is recognized as the nation with the lowest level of gross domestic product of $308, which places it among the least advanced nations in terms of development. Corruption, authoritarianism and a high illiteracy rate are just some of the shadows that Burundi is struggling to dispel. Meanwhile, their youth are faced with the difficult decision of whether to stay and face internal challenges or seek opportunities in foreign lands, which has resulted in significant emigration and the separation of families and communities. These nations face economic, educational, and social obstacles and are constantly striving for a brighter horizon. Data collected in the 2023 International Monetary Fund report supports this view.